What's up guys, welcome to Film and TV Reviews. Today I'm reviewing Narcos Mexico, which is not Narcos Season 4, it's a spin-off because it's classed as a different show. But in many ways it is kind of Narcos Season 4. Starting with the story. This is a really good season of TV. 10 episodes, all about an hour long, sometimes they go a little longer. It's about the narco drug trade in Mexico, starting with marijuana, then moving into cocaine. The problem that Narcos has had in the past is that it often delves into crime and gangster cliche. This season doesn't really solve that problem. It does delve into predictable crime and gangster storylines and beats and characters, but it's still enjoyable. The characters are still interesting and likable. The thrills and the action scenes are really good. There are some standout moments in there. I think even the dramatic scenes and the character development this season is probably the best it's been so far across the 4 seasons. I'm not going to say how it does it, but this season does tie into the events of Narcos seasons 1 to 3. Again, that's spoiler territory, I'm not going to go into much detail, but I really like the way that it does it. I think it was quite smart and it made one of the best moments of this season. Because it delves so much into crime and gangster cliche and characters, it does become a little predictable towards the end. You kind of know who's going to make it out alive, who's not, who's going to get in jail, how this is all going to roll out. Also the fact that it's based on true events and true stories, and that it's technically a prequel to some of the events of Narcos Season 2 and 3, means that you kind of know how some of this ends. Not a bad thing, it's still an enjoyable TV show to watch. And I feel like I'm being a little negative on the show. This is a really good show. I just want to make that clear. I really like this season. Moving on a little to the characters. The cast this season is led by Diego Luna and Michael Pena. Diego Luna is absolutely brilliant in this role. I think he might get some award attention, and I think he should do, because he's really, really good. Diego Luna plays the main antagonist of the season, at times sometimes the main protagonist as well, as you do see a lot of this through his eyes. Michael Pena, meanwhile, plays the DEA agent who's trying to apprehend the narcos and put them behind bars. Not going to say much about the characters, they are somewhat stereotypical. I think this season does a better job of developing the characters than past seasons, particularly with the side characters. In past seasons, I feel like the side characters have been, oh, there's this angry one, oh, there's this guy who wears a hat, or there's this guy who looks different from everyone else. Whereas this season, it really does flesh them out a bit more. There's a character called Don Neto, who has his own little story about halfway through. It's a little unnecessary maybe, but that's just an example of a character who, not a huge part of this season, but he is a side character. It helps flesh him out, it helps you relate to him, and you get a better idea of the world that we're living in. One of the big problems with the characters in Narcos, both this season and in past seasons, is the representation of female characters. In the past, they've often been objects of desire or sexual attractiveness, and that's a problem. This season does address that a little bit, in that there are women in there who are actively involved in the narco drug trade, who are trying to climb the ladder to be the big boss that they want to be. But at the end of the day, they fail to really flesh out them characters. They are still stereotypes. One of the characters is basically a stay-at-home wife, it seems, but she does have some really good role scenes in there at times. I just wish they avoided making them so simplistic and limiting their roles and make this a male-orientated series the way that it is. Of course, this is based on a true story, although it does make attention to the fact that they have changed certain events and characters for dramatization. So there probably is only so much they could do in terms of the characters and the female characters, because it is set in the 80s. Them times were notably different from what they are now. Maybe that is the only thing the women were doing back then. I don't know. I doubt it, but it's possible, I suppose. And is that really an excuse? Production-wise, this is a really good season of TV. Great locations, it's a beautifully shot show, a lot of great landscapes on location shooting, the sets are absolutely gorgeous at times, costumes great, although I couldn't help but notice so many of the characters going around dressing up like Scarface or Saturday Night Live. or Saturday Night Fever, sorry. And this is set in 1985, which is a little later than that, so maybe the fashion trends didn't reach Mexico in time, I don't know. But it all works together to make a very stylish and good looking show. I've already mentioned how the action scenes and the thrills were great, but the problem is, this season, the episodes are long. Some of them barely make it under an hour. And I found myself dozing off a few times, but then quickly getting my attention back in, because this is a good show. I just wish the episodes were shorter. I just wish it had a way of grabbing my attention a bit more. So overall, Narcos Mexico is a really good season of TV. Might just edge its way into being the best season of Narcos so far. Hard to say, I really did like season 3 and season 2. Unlike past seasons, I don't feel like this season was rushing anything. It was well paced. In the past, for example, the first 2 seasons, I felt like they were constantly just jumping through years without actually saying they were jumping through years. It felt like they were rushing to the end point, whereas this season, I believe it takes entirely place in 1985. I could be wrong about that though, but it did seem like it was going a bit slower. Not necessarily slower, but it was more methodical in pacing, and it had more of a story to tell. Ultimately, this is a good show. I've already mentioned that. It's also different enough from past seasons to make it a spin-off and another season of this show. I do recommend you watch this. You don't have to watch Narcos seasons 1 to 3 before this, but I would recommend it. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, you can follow me on Twitter at @the_Grant_Burton, Instagram as well at @the_Grant_Burton. But in the meantime, you can subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and you can leave a comment and some feedback down below. What did you think of Narcos Mexico? Let me know. Have you got any questions about Narcos Mexico? Leave them down below and I'll get back to them as soon as I possibly can. But that's all I've got for this review, so thanks for watching.